So for this week, after reading the articles and watching the YouTube video and kind of looking through all of the images of quilts and artwork, I thought that the common theme around storytelling when it came to Faith, Bisa, and Carol was the idea of family ties and the importance of remembering where you came from and your heritage and having that consistency when it comes to traditions. I think that every single article and every single person that we talked about, all of their stories were grounded in where they came from and who they are and kind of what made them that way. So first for Carol Beck, when she was talking about Lucy Leaf and how she took that leaf from her home before they were migrating north, and that was how she remembered her home before the migration. And so then incorporating that into a quilt was telling the story of where she came from and the family ties that she had there. Then moving on to the Faith, the video from PBS, I thought it was really interesting because she was talking about using art to express what was happening and what was happening with African Americans in our world today and in the past, and how she used to talk about these things with her family, and she was now incorporating them into art, into quilts to kind of push them forward because quilting is an African American kind of tradition that they use to tell stories, and how she was saying that quilts help to understand origin and how the slaves used to make quilts for their masters or for themselves, and it was their way to tell stories through design and creativity. And then for Bisa Butler, how she was saying that her stories are told through quilts, and they're specifically for her told through the fabric she uses, the textures that she combines, and the colors she uses, and how all of those together help her create a composition. And how, like, for example, I think she said lace and aged satin show delicacy and refinement as time goes by. So she was using things that she learned and interests, so she would take like black and white pictures and then use those images to create this new type of design, which is she's continuing the African American quilting tradition, but she's taking it to kind of a modern day futuristic thought through portraits and images, and how she would start with a black and white photo and then use what she felt from that to create a piece of art, which I thought was really cool. I think that their works connect to Toni Cade's discussion of storytellers, because Toni Cade really talked about how she was taught what a story should be like, and how stories for her that she'd be told by her grandma really shaped her identity as a girl and a member of the community, and it helped her kind of embrace her culture. And she was just talking about how stories should be memorable and they should have meaning. And specifically, one thing that stood out is that they should be grounded in cultural specificity and shaped by the modes of Black art practice, which I think that all three of these storytellers do. All of their pieces of art are shaped and grounded by their culture and their traditions that they've had, and that they all range about different topics. There are some about family, some are about resistance, and some are about women morality and like their tales and their life stories that they want to pass down. So I think that the roles of stories are to just express yourself and express family ties that you have and things that ground you and who you are, and the responsibility of the person listening to the stories or telling them is just to carry on traditions and cultural norms and continue those on, and then people listening to it is just to try and understand and to interpret how they're telling stories differently and gain that perspective moving forward.